So the second large area of e-democracy is electronic voting, or often called e-voting. While it has really taken off in the past 15 years, the discussion around using electricity, or later than IT, for voting has been as old as electricity itself. Already in the mid-19th century, inventors like Thomas Edison or Werner von Siemens came up with ideas of using electricity to record votes in parliaments. So as soon as people were having the technology available, they wanted to apply it to the electoral process in one way or the other. And we can see this pattern re-emerge over the years in the 20th century, even now in the 21st century, that as soon as people come close to a technology, they want to use it also for elections. And it doesn't matter where. This discussion is very conflicting, because there is one very distinct feature about using these kinds of technologies for elections, in contrast to the one technology that has found the most widespread use, and that is the paper ballot. The paper ballot is something that we can touch, feel, and most importantly, see, and therefore has this universal feature of understanding how the process works. And when we talk about electricity, when we talk about bits and bytes, there is this one thing that we just cannot see them, we cannot understand how it really works, or have a very hard time in doing so. And therefore it's not as universally accessible as is the paper ballot. And this is one of the sources why talking about e-voting is actually not something that gains widespread euphoria, but actually always brings up some critics that say, oh, maybe it's not the right thing to use for democracy. So this problem about being understandable is very difficult, or is very eminent when we talk about e-voting. Nevertheless, using IT for elections, for at least the casting of the vote, and that is the definition of the Council of Europe for their recommendation on electronic voting, actually also has some certain nice features. We already heard it when we talked about e-participation, that IT, and especially the internet, allows us to take part wherever we want. We can even take part in local government decision-making while we are on the vacations in some small South Pacific island. And that's probably the most transformative issue, that actually not only those people that are in the place at the time of the election, but that are anywhere in the world can take part. And that can actually change the electorate, the possibilities and the chances of wanting to be or getting elected quite a bit. And that is one of the things where there are actually some new or some nice benefits of electronic voting, that it could actually include more people. While we don't have really hard empirical facts to date that this actually is true, we can of course also say that it is a tool that requires a certain level of literacy, that we're actually able to understand a computer, to able to understand how such a process works. And that might actually be a problem for people that are older, that want to understand something. Of course, there are those also that don't care about how it works, that so-called Apple effect, if you want to say so, that it just works. And if it works very easily, they don't care what happens with the things. And this can actually also be a support to people that are handicapped, that have problems to read. Take, for example, blind citizens. they might be able to hear their ballot with a computer reading the ballot out for them. And that might be the only way for them to vote independently without the help of a third person. So while it's not a very easy topic, it's one that has a huge potential, especially when we're doing in our everyday life more and more things online. We transfer our money online, we talk about politics, we read our newspapers only electronically anymore, we don't have them on paper anymore. So maybe there will be a time when we have no other choice other than using electronic forms to cast a vote. So actually it is a very eminent field for research, and we need to be able to solve those problems, that understanding, that being able to verify if your vote was actually counted as cast. And those are things that are really needed to understand, and where electronic voting still has a very long way to go.